You are the master of your fate. Let's begin. If you had to choose, would you pick unlimited wealth or endless time? This isn't a thought experiment. It's the most profound question that will ever shape your life. Your gut reaction to this question reveals everything about the blueprint you're following. I'm going to show you what this unspoken trade-off is really costing you, how the pursuit of money can trap you, and by the end, I'll give you a new definition of wealth that finally breaks that cycle. Pay close attention. The answer will surprise you. Every day, you are making a transaction, a silent one. You are trading the one true currency you own, your life, for something you believe is valuable. For most of you, that currency is money. I want you to feel that for a moment. The constant gnawing pressure to accumulate, the feeling of a clock ticking on a debt you can never truly repay, the unspoken trade-off you make every single day you choose to be somewhere you don't want to be, the unwritten contract you sign with yourself that says, I will sacrifice my moments today for a promise of security tomorrow. But what is security, really? Is it a number in a bank account? Or is it the feeling of a life well lived? I have sat with men who have built empires from nothing. I have seen their blueprints. And the men who failed to understand this one simple truth were always the most miserable, no matter how grand their fortune became. I remember one man. He had built a formidable company, a machine that churned out immense wealth. But in his pursuit, he became a prisoner to his own creation. His time was no longer his own. Every hour was accounted for. Every minute was a transaction. His children grew up seeing the back of his neck as he answered yet another call. His wife was a silent figure at the dinner table. He had built a fortress of wealth, but he had locked himself inside. This is the cost you never add up. It's the cost of a walk in the park you didn't take, the cost of a story you didn't hear, the cost of a moment of silence you never granted yourself. We often only count the money we make. We forget to count the time we spent making it. But the real cost of a day is never just the salary it paid. It's the moments you traded. It's the energy you sacrificed. It's the clarity you gave away in the name of getting ahead. You cannot say you are wealthy if you are a prisoner in your own schedule. I'm telling you, the true currency of your life is not what you earn, it is what you spend. And I saw this problem begin to be solved by a man who had more money than he knew what to do with. I saw it when I sat with Andrew Carnegie. I want to show you the difference between a man who just has money and a man who has power. The difference is not in their fortune. It is in how they use the finite currency of their life to achieve their definite chief aim. So I ask you, with brutal honesty, where does your time go? Are you spending it or are you investing it? Are you building a life or are you just buying one? This is a painful exercise, but it is necessary. You cannot solve a problem you refuse to see. You cannot live a life of purpose if you are a slave to the clock. This silent transaction, this quiet desperation, is the first enemy of every man who seeks true power. It is the greatest obstacle to your peace, and until you face it, you will never be free. I told you that I saw this problem solved by Andrew Carnegie, and I want you to listen closely to what I learned. Carnegie was, by any measure, a king of industry. He had a fortune that few men on this earth could ever comprehend. But the single most powerful thing he ever showed me had nothing to do with his steel mills. It was his obsession with his definite chief aim. His aim was not to accumulate money, but to use it to serve humanity. He was on a mission, and his mission gave his time a purpose that money alone could never buy. He told me, Hill, the greatest men I know are not the ones with the largest fortunes. They are the ones who have a mission so profound that their money is simply the fuel to achieve it. Carnegie understood that money was just a tool. It was a means to an end, never the end itself. The real wealth, he showed me, was the power to spend his time on a purpose that mattered. I was there, sitting across from him in his library, and he would talk not about his dividends, but about the number of libraries he had funded, the number of young men he had put through school. He didn't speak of the money he had made, but the lives he had changed. That was his true currency. That was the source of his profound power. This is the first law you must etch into your mind. You must define your wealth beyond your bank account. You must find a purpose so compelling that money becomes merely a byproduct of your work, not the destination itself. If you wake up every day only to chase a dollar, you will always be poor. You will always be running on a treadmill that promises a prize at the end, but only ever gives you more track. But if you wake up with a mission, with an aim so definite and so clear that every minute of your day is an investment in its fulfillment, then the money will take care of itself, and your time will suddenly have a value far beyond any dollar amount. It will have a value that is infinite. You see, the man who lives without a definite chief aim is like a ship without a rudder. He is tossed about by the currents of his circumstances, driven by the whims of others and the false promises of society. He spends his life in a frantic effort to keep up with a race he never chose to run. He is trading his time for an empty reward. So let me challenge you to think about what I am saying. Is your life's work simply a job, or is it a mission? Is your income a goal, or is it a tool? The answer to that question will define your life. It will determine whether you are a master of your time or a servant to it. It will determine whether you will be rich in money alone or truly rich in every sense of the word. This is the starting point for all achievement. It is the first step toward reclaiming your time and building a life of true power. Because before you can master your money, you must first master your purpose. That is the lesson Carnegie taught me, and it is the lesson I pass on to you today. I have said for decades that a definite chief aim is the starting point for all achievement. It is the single most important principle of my entire philosophy. But I want to be more specific with you today. Your chief aim is not just about what you want to achieve financially. It is the blueprint for your time. It is the plan for how you will spend the only resource you truly own. The architect does not simply start building, he first drafts a detailed plan. He knows exactly what the structure will look like, where every room will be, and how every element will work together. He has a definite aim for that building. So tell me, what is the definite aim for your life? What is the master blueprint for your days, your hours, your minutes? If you don't know the answer, you are a builder with no plan. You are simply showing up to the construction site and moving bricks around, hoping that a skyscraper will emerge from the chaos. I have seen countless men do this. They are busy all the time. They are working hard. They are exhausted. But at the end of every week, at the end of every year, they look back and see nothing but a pile of rubble. They have no sense of a grand design. They have no masterpiece to show for their efforts. That is the consequence of living without a definite chief aim. Your life is not designed, it is simply happening. You are spending your time reacting to the needs of others, answering emails, responding to phone calls, putting out fires. But you are not investing your time in a purpose that matters to you. You are not building your legacy. You are not creating a monument to your own existence. You are simply performing tasks. You are running on a treadmill that promises a destination but only ever gives you more track. Your definite chief aim gives you a filter. It allows you to look at every single invitation, every single request, every single potential project, and ask one simple question: does this serve my purpose? If it does, you give it your full attention. If it does not, you learn to let it go. This is the difference between a life of power and a life of servitude. It is the difference between an accidental existence and a life lived with intention. So what is the one thing you are building? What is the one mission that gives your time infinite value? Until you answer that question, you will continue to spend your days in a way that feels scattered and ultimately unfulfilled. Because the man who does not know where he is going will always feel a sense of loss, no matter how fast he runs. He will always feel that he is running out of time, and he will always believe that he does not have enough. This brings us to the most dangerous illusion of all, the lie that holds so many people captive, the lie of scarcity. The world tells you that both wealth and time are scarce. That is a lie designed to keep you competing, to keep you in a state of fear. You believe that you must hoard money because you're afraid there won't be enough, and you believe that you must hoard time because you're afraid you will run out. But the truth is, both wealth and time are concepts that can be created and expanded upon. It is only the mind that operates from a place of scarcity that believes in limits. I have seen men with millions of dollars who were, by every measure, poor. They lived in a mental prison built of what-ifs and if-onlys. They would not invest in their health, fearing a financial loss. They would not take a day off, fearing they would lose an opportunity. They were so afraid of a future without money that they were actively living a life without a soul. Their lives were a perfect picture of a man drowning in a desert, surrounded by gold, but parched for a single drop of water. This is the tragic paradox of the scarcity mindset. It promises security, but it only delivers a deeper sense of lack. It makes you a slave to the very thing you're trying to acquire. You have a choice. You can live in a world where everything is a competition, where every minute is a battle, where every dollar is a piece of a pie that is rapidly shrinking. Or you can operate from a place of abundance, a mindset that understands that the world is overflowing with resources, opportunities, and possibilities for those who are prepared to see them. The man who truly understands this doesn't worry about what he doesn't have. He focuses on what he can create. He knows that when he applies his definite chief aim with persistence and faith, the resources he needs will appear, not as a matter of luck, but as a matter of law. This is the great fallacy that keeps so many people from ever achieving true power. They believe the lie of scarcity. They are afraid to invest their time in a purpose because they are worried it won't pay off. They are afraid to give away their money because they are worried they will run out. This fear is a cage, my friend. It keeps you small. It keeps you playing a game you were never meant to win. But the first step toward freedom is to recognize the cage. It is to see the lie for what it is. The man who truly knows his purpose understands that his time is a regenerative resource. The more he invests it, the more energy and clarity he receives in return. The more he focuses on building something of value, the more wealth flows to him. This is not magic. It is a fundamental law of the universe. The universe rewards the mind that seeks to serve with purpose, not the one that seeks to hoard out of fear. So, I want you to ask yourself, are you making decisions from a place of fear or from a place of faith in your purpose? Your answer will determine the quality of your life more than any bank statement ever could. The time has come to stop chasing what you fear you might lose and start creating what you know you are meant to build. The most dangerous words in the English language are not, "I can't." They are, "I'll do it later." This is the great fallacy of our time. It is the belief that you can sacrifice your purpose today for a promised reward tomorrow. I'll have time for my dream when I have enough money. I'll finally relax when the business is successful. I'll spend more time with my family once I retire. This is a lie you tell yourself to justify a life of compromise. This is the ultimate self-deception, and it is a mental prison that promises freedom tomorrow but only delivers a longer sentence today. I remember a man I met years ago who had a brilliant idea for a new type of machine, but he believed he had to accumulate a certain amount of wealth before he could truly pursue his passion. For years, he worked a job that gave him no joy, putting away every dollar he could. He would talk about his dream in hushed, reverent tones, always ending the conversation with, "Someday, when the time is right, I'll build it." He was a master of his savings account, but a slave to his clock. He passed on opportunities to learn, to create, to network. He passed on moments with his loved ones, believing he was making a grand investment in their future. He was, in his mind, building a bridge to a better life. But the bridge was never built. He spent so long waiting for enough that his body began to fail him. The fire of his purpose dimmed with every passing year of delay. The perfect time never arrived. The tragic truth is, the future he was building for was a future he would never get to live. By delaying the pursuit of his true purpose, he was telling the universe he wasn't worthy of it. He was telling his own soul that its desires were not important enough to be acted on today. This fallacy is a trap because it's a form of procrastination disguised as strategy. It makes you believe you are being responsible when, in fact, you are being a coward. It makes you believe you are being patient when you are simply avoiding the necessary work of building the life you were meant to live. Every moment you delay your purpose is a moment in which you are building a habit of avoidance. The man who truly succeeds does not wait for the perfect conditions. He does not wait for enough. He understands that the perfect time is right now. He knows that his power is in the present moment, not in some distant imagined future. He understands that action creates clarity, that doing creates opportunity, that investing your time and your purpose today is the only way to ensure a future worth living. So I want you to look at your own life. Where are you waiting? What are you postponing? Are you a master of your life, or are you just a patient waiting for a future that may never come? This great fallacy can be broken, but only by a radical shift in your thinking and an immediate change in your behavior. You cannot solve a problem you refuse to see. The Great Fallacy, the silent transactions we've discussed, they all operate in the dark, hidden behind your busyness and your beliefs about what you should be doing. It is time to turn on the light. Before you can redefine your currency, you must first understand where it is currently being spent. This is a cold, hard truth that most people are unwilling to face. They would rather complain about their circumstances than confront the hard data of their own lives. But you, my friend, are not most people. I want you to conduct a personal currency audit. For the next 7 days, I want you to carry a small notebook with you. For every hour of the day, I want you to write down with ruthless honesty how you spent your time. Do not judge what you write down. Simply record the facts. Note the time you spent generating financial wealth. Note the time you spent in quiet contemplation. Note the hours you spent on social media, on television, on tasks that gave you nothing but a fleeting distraction. Your life is not a spreadsheet of income and expenses. It is an account of minutes and moments. And it is time you looked at the balance sheet. I have seen countless men who swore they were doing one thing, but their time audit told a completely different story. A man might tell me he is dedicating his life to building a business, but his audit reveals that he spends the majority of his hours on social media, in meetings that lead nowhere, and in worried conversations about problems he cannot solve. He is confusing activity for achievement. He is mistaking effort for progress. And he is spending his most precious currency on things that will never produce a return. The purpose of this exercise is not to make you feel guilty. It is to give you power. You cannot manage what you do not measure. Once you see in black and white where your time is truly going, the illusion begins to shatter. You will see the truth about your priorities. You will see the gaps between what you say you value and how you actually spend your life. The man who truly wants to build an empire does not start with a new idea. He starts with an honest accounting of his resources, and your time is your greatest resource. The pain of seeing the truth is a small price to pay for the freedom that it will bring. For once you know, you can begin to make conscious decisions instead of operating on autopilot. You can stop simply spending your time and start investing it. The audit is not an end, it is a beginning. It is the first step toward reclaiming your time and directing it with a purpose. For once you see where your life is currently flowing, you can finally begin to redirect the current. The audit was the easy part. Now comes the hard work. You know where your time is going, and you've seen the truth of your current life. Now, it is your responsibility to act on that truth. Stop simply spending your time. Start investing it. This is the difference between a man who lives an accidental existence and one who lives a designed life. The accidental man is at the mercy of the day's demands. He lets his phone, his inbox, and the expectations of others dictate his every move. The designed man, however, is the architect of his own schedule. He allocates his time with the same care and precision as a wise man allocates his money. I want you to think of your time as your most valuable portfolio. Just as you would diversify a financial portfolio, you must learn to diversify your time. Stop putting all your hours into a single low-interest account, a job that only pays you for the time you are physically there. Instead, begin to invest. Invest it in relationships that bring you joy and energy, for the support of others is an invaluable asset. Invest it in developing a new skill, for a new skill is a door to a new source of power. Invest it in moments of quiet contemplation, for silence is where your most powerful ideas are born. And most importantly, invest it in your health, for a worn-out body and a tired mind will never be able to fully achieve your purpose. I saw a young man who was spending all his free hours on television and idle distraction, believing it was the only way to unwind. His audit was a cold shock to his system. He saw that he was spending his entire evenings on things that left him feeling emptier than before. But instead of feeling defeated, he made a conscious choice. He decided to strategically reallocate just 1 hour of his evening to studying a subject that fascinated him. Within 6 months, that 1 hour a day had grown into a skill that allowed him to start a new business. He didn't find more time. He simply used the time he already had in a new way. He didn't work harder, he worked with a purpose. He didn't choose between wealth and time. He made his time create more wealth. This is not about working more. It is about working with a purpose. It is about saying no to the things that do not serve your definite chief aim, so that you can say a powerful yes to the things that do. It is about recognizing that every moment you waste is a moment you are not building, and every moment you invest is a foundation stone for the life you were meant to live. The strategic allocation of your time is the most powerful act of self-governance you will ever perform. It is the act that will separate you from the masses who are simply drifting through their lives. It is the first step toward building a life where your wealth and your time are no longer in a conflict. It is the beginning of an integrated existence. The world tells you that life is a zero-sum game, that you must sacrifice one thing to gain another, that to be financially wealthy, you must be time poor. But I am here to tell you that is a lie. The ultimate goal is not to choose between wealth and time. The ultimate goal is to build a life where wealth serves your time, rather than the other way around. It is a life of harmony, not of conflict. This is what I call the integrated life. The man who lives an integrated life understands that his wealth is not a destination. It is an engine, and that engine is meant to propel his most meaningful pursuits. He doesn't just work hard to make money, he works with a purpose, building systems and teams that eventually free him from the day-to-day work so that he can invest his time in his ultimate purpose. He is not a slave to his bank account, he is the master of his time. He has built a life where the money comes in even when he is not physically present, allowing him the freedom to be present in his own life. I knew a man who, for years, believed he had to personally oversee every detail of his business to ensure its success. He was a brilliant man, but he was a prisoner in his own empire. His currency audit, like the one I instructed you to do, was a revelation. It showed him that his hard work was mostly a series of low-value tasks that were draining his energy and consuming his time. It was a devastating truth to confront, but from that truth came his greatest act of courage. He began to delegate. He began to trust his team. He began to build systems that ran the business for him. And as he did, his wealth didn't shrink, it grew. His business became more efficient, more profitable, and more powerful. But most importantly, his time became his own. He was finally able to step away and spend his time on the thing he was truly meant to do, mentoring young men who had once been in his position. He was no longer just making a living, he was building a legacy. This is the power of integration. It is the understanding that you are not trading your life for money. You are building a system that allows your money to work for your life. It is the difference between simply accumulating a fortune and truly living a life of significance. The man who achieves this level of integration is a man who has mastered himself, his purpose, and the laws of achievement. He has transcended the fear of scarcity and the fallacy of the someday life. I want you to begin to think about your own life in this way. What systems do you need to build? What tasks do you need to delegate? Who do you need to empower so that your wealth can begin to work for you? Your greatest wealth is the time you have to invest in your purpose. Do not settle for a life that makes you rich in one currency and poor in the other. Your goal is not to have one or the other. Your goal is to have both. The richest person I ever knew was not the one with the biggest fortune. That man was a millionaire in his bank account, but a pauper in his soul. He was a prisoner in his own home, constantly worried about losing what he had accumulated. He had no time for his health, no moments for his family, and no peace in his mind. He was, by every measure, a financial success, but he was, in the truest sense of the word, a failure. He had a fortune, but he had no life. He had missed the point entirely. The truly richest man I ever knew was the one who had both the financial resources to live without want and the free time to enjoy it. He had built a life that was a masterpiece of integration. His wealth was not a source of anxiety. It was a source of freedom. His time was not a commodity to be sold. It was a treasure to be invested. He was a man who lived with a profound sense of purpose. Every dollar he earned was a tool to further his mission, and every hour he had was a gift he used to live a life of meaning. He was truly rich in every sense of the word. He had mastered the laws of achievement, and he had built a life of power, purpose, and genuine joy. He was the exception to the rule, and he proved that it is possible to build a life where wealth is a servant, not a master. This is the ultimate definition of success. It is not a dollar amount. It is not a title. It is a life rich in both resources and moments. It is the feeling of waking up every day and knowing that your time is your own and that you are using it to build something that truly matters. It is the peace of mind that comes from knowing that your wealth is in service to your purpose, not in conflict with it. This is the harmony you have been searching for. This is the life you were meant to live. This is the prize at the end of the race. This is what you were designed to do, to build a life that is a monument to your own existence, to prove to yourself that you are not just capable of earning a living, but that you are capable of truly living a life, to choose to be a master of your time, not a servant to it. The man who achieves this level of success has transcended the common understanding of what it means to be a man of power. He has not only succeeded, he has become an inspiration. This is not a theoretical exercise. This is a blueprint for your own life. You have the tools, you have the principles, and you have the power to begin this work today. Do not wait for a perfect time that will never come. The only time you have is right now, and the only person who can start this work is you. The choice is yours to make. The time is now. Final words. The ultimate achievement is not a bigger bank account. The ultimate achievement is a life you are proud to have lived, a life that you didn't just make a living from, but a life that you truly lived. You have the blueprint now. You know the laws. The only question that remains is whether you will have the courage to apply them, to stop making the great trade-off, and to start building the life you were meant to live. Remember, your time is your greatest wealth. Do not spend it. Invest it. Key takeaways and action steps. The principles are clear. The path is laid out. Now it is time for you to act. The truth will set you free, but only if you have the courage to apply it. I want you to take these truths and turn them into action. Key takeaways. Redefine wealth. True wealth is the power to direct your time, not just the money in your bank. Measure your life. You must audit how you spend your time before you can begin to master it. Invest, don't just spend. Your time is a currency to be invested in your purpose, not merely spent on distractions. Integrate, don't choose. Build a life where your wealth serves your time, and your time is spent on what matters most. Your assignment: 1. The 24-hour audit. For the next 24 hours, write down how you spend every waking hour. Be ruthlessly honest. At the end of the day, review your list and identify one thing you did that did not serve your definite chief aim. 2. The time statement. Write a single statement that outlines your ideal relationship with time. It could be something like, my time is an investment in my purpose, and my purpose is to create something that outlives me. 3. The first strategic shift. Identify one immediate small action you can take to reclaim 15 minutes of your day. It could be turning off a notification, delegating a task, or simply saying no to a request. Do it today. Remember, your success begins the moment you decide to act.